Well, joining me now in the studio is Kevin Marshall. Kevin lived at Bexley House, which was a Salvation Army boys' home in Sydney South, for 8 years, from 1966. During this time, he suffered abuse at the hands of his carers, and he spoke of that abuse at the Royal Commission. Kevin, thank you so much for coming in today to speak to us. You've said previously on numerous occasions that giving evidence at the Royal Commission validated many people's experiences. Can you explain what that process was like to be able to share your story?
It was very humbling for me because I've spoken to many people over the years that have had similar and even worse experiences that I have, and they've almost to a person said that no one believed them when they initially spoke about it, or they felt they had no one to go to talk to about it. So the Royal Commission, I believe, gave us a framework where we could be listened to and heard, and people felt validated.
And a lot of people hold on to their story, some of them for their entire lives. In a way, was this giving people permission?
It is, and I can speak personally. As recently as last night, I had a person call me and told me some things that happened to them, and they'd never revealed that to anybody. And that person was extremely physically upset, but at least they got that out. So yes, it gave people a chance to really talk about what happened to them in a way that they felt safe. That's the main thing, that people would listen to them and they were safe telling the story. Because in the past, if you told your story, you were lambasted or seen as being evil or bad. Why were you telling these horrible lies to hurt these good people? And that was really a very painful thing to have to go through.
And I guess it forced the wider community to not continue to push these issues under the carpet.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Your story, Kevin, is particularly painful. Your mother tragically committed suicide. You weren't allowed to mourn her death. Mm-hmm. You were sexually abused by people at the Salvation Army. Your brother was taken away from you, mm-hmm. and you lost contact with him for a very long time. Mm-hmm. People watching this will wonder how you've managed to survive all of those horrible things that have happened.
You do internalise a lot of it. I'm lucky enough, I suppose, I can develop a sense of gratitude and be aware that other people have it far worse than I have, and that you also just have to get on with the old Aussie spirit about just battling on. But the danger is, of course, that it just remains there and it's toxic and it just leaks out over years. One good thing for me is that because of the Royal Commission, I actually made contact with my brother after 25 years, and it was because of the very thing, the fact that people were being examined and that people were asking questions. So I'm very, very pleased on a personal note that happened, and that was very confronting for me. But yeah, the stuff that happened to you learn very quickly that no one wants to know, or you did as a child, that no one really wanted to know. And the fact that my mother did unfortunately kill herself, and the fact that I couldn't grieve, I was actually told to shut up and stop crying, and that created a wall inside me which stopped me, and I'm sure other people who went through what I went through, from developing emotionally. You become quite stunted, and it does affect your life. It does affect your ability to form stable relationships at work, with friends, social clubs. It does impact you terribly, and the people that go through that don't understand why. They just think they're outcasts or there's something wrong with them. They're not quite good enough, when it's actually the way they were brought up. I've had some counselling, and I resisted having counselling for many years. I knew I had PTSD, but I recently have gone to counselling, and the counsellor told me what I went through was perfectly normal at the time. It's not now, but it was okay, and that made me feel so validated above and beyond the Royal Commission, that I knew that what I was doing, how I was surviving, was okay.
And you've also mentioned, Kevin, that one of the ways that has helped you, I guess, to deal with your personal circumstances, to actually be there for other people. Many
times I've had, and again, I want to thank the ABC for over the years doing stories like this, and I've had people on at least 3 occasions call me after I've appeared on one of your shows, and they've said that either they knew me or they trust me and they'd like to talk to me, and these people have never spoken to anybody about what happened to them. One person in particular had an assault sheet a mile long, attack police, and they asked him why. He said because he would get drunk and he would see somebody in uniform and think it was an officer coming to hurt him. So I just really want to say thank you for that.
You've also mentioned in reading some of the interviews that you've done in the past, Kevin, that you feel that you've coped better than other people. Mm-hmm. Why do you say that?
Again, I suppose just trying to develop a sense of gratitude that I'm alive, I'm healthy, I'm active. Now I realise people that love me and want to be there for me, so I'm tearing up a bit. But trying to develop that sense of being, I survived, and that I can do good things for other people rather than focusing on what happened to me.
There's a tissue there for you.
That's okay.
And I guess that's one of the most important things that has come out of this experience is that people can feel the love of the community, and not just their immediate community, but I think Australia has come together in this issue and hopefully shown to survivors such as yourself that we hear you, and we hopefully can help to try to understand your pain a little further.
Very much so. I've had people after giving an appearance at the Royal Commission come up to me and say that, and friends and family have said things, and even strangers. It's been very, very comforting and wonderful, and it's a very healing process. And I'm sure that I speak for other people that have gone through what I went through. It is a really lovely experience to be believed, and to have people say, we're on your side, when for years you were on your own.
Aside from, I guess, the recommendations that the Commission's already made and what will happen tomorrow, what are you hoping that we will learn from this experience?
Well, I think the Commission, one of the reasons was set up so we could work out a way to not have this happen again. And if that happens, that'd be the main thing I want, that people don't get into a situation where there's a small group of vulnerable children who are preyed upon, and then when they do complain about the pain and hurt, they're disbelieved or punished, so they're getting a double whammy. So if that could happen, I'd be really grateful.
I guess in some ways, with the end of this 5-year process, there may be some feelings of maybe disappointment or dissatisfaction that it's over. Do you think that there will continue to be opportunities for people to continue to explore this issue and share their stories?
I think so. I think that sunlight is the best disinfectant, as people say, and I think that the story's been told. There are networks. We've got obviously Clan, many fine people and organisations that are out there, and the story's out there. It's on the internet. People can access it. There's phone numbers that people can refer to, and more importantly, that people who haven't had a chance to talk or don't feel safe can see someone like me, for example, and know that there are people out there that have shared their experience and that are happy to talk to them, and it's okay. It's not okay that you're in pain, but it's okay, you can heal. And the fact that there's a framework now for you to be listened to and to be believed, and also there's help available.
Which is probably one of the most important things.
Absolutely.
Kevin Marshall, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us this afternoon.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for listening to me.